master this song with the EP master. Yeah, I remember when I first met you. I was a shy kid trying to act cool. Butterflies in my stomach, I had no clue on what to say and how to approach you. Man, I wish myself luck, what did the pros do? Later to find out you already had some dude. Years passed, thinking it was history. Got a message in the map that makes us center mystery. Texting woman asking if this is she. Finding out who, then started to think this could be one of my crushes from the past. Realizing it was her first, but I made her last. We started texting, she told me I didn't ask. I drank too much that night, I'm about to pass. In that moment I felt my heart collapse. Was feeling you from the beginning, I fell for the romance. How can you live with yourself? 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 How can you live? Asking questions, trying to get to know her. Our vibes connected, was feeling them transfer. More emotion we sent to each other. We made decisions based on what occurred. Our struggling lives, but still know we were 7 years without thinking if she's pure. It's hard to know, we're in different states, I wasn't sure. For I did not know or know she infer. Treated her like royalty, said she was gonna spoil me. Felt really hard thinking she has some loyalty. Felt love, could talk about her joyfully. That's what mattered most to me. Overthinking, this is how it's supposed to be. She stopped replying but would open the text message, thinking it's not her, it's her drug obsession. Was worried, thinking why am I stressing? Still left with no reply but a broken mind and depression. How can you live with yourself? 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 How can you live? Texting and a month has gone by. Once a week wondering why I try. Deep down I knew you would reply. Finally texted back, not saying goodbye. Telling me sorry and you apologize. Asked her still jiggy and feeling my vibe. Fell for you harder, more than I can describe. And we made plans and that's what started the hype. A fresh start to make it alright. Who would've thought it would happen a second time? Why say you can't, telling me it's fine, when I showed you the real me and you were feeding me lies. Girl, what I said when I wanted to find your soul, and I'm looking into your eyes. What were your intentions the whole damn time? You heard me back, girl, still left wondering why. How can you live with yourself? 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 How can you